Always great talking to the number 5 ranked UFC welterweight, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy, how you doing this morning? You just had a workout.
Yeah, man, just got done. As you can tell, a little sweaty. Got a little workout in today. So, like I said, I got them endorphins going, man. I'm feeling good.
I was going to say, you said you needed some coffee. I don't think you do. You're all ready to go here. And thanks for the time as always, man. Always a pleasure. Before we get into everything that's going on in the MMA world, how was your Halloween? Because we just had that on Sunday. I know you're always like getting dressed up with the kids and everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, last Friday we had the Halloween thing. We had all the kids dressed up in their Halloween costumes, doing karate. It was a good weekend, man. Had a great weekend. Actually did some trick-or-treating myself. It was fun. But yeah, man, everything's good. School's going great. You know, we went from 630 students to about 800, over 8 students moving into this facility. So we've been slammed.
Got to get right to it. I heard your podcast. Apparently you have a fight booked. This is what we're hearing right now. I know there's, obviously some things that got to get sort of worked out here, but are you at least able to say when you're potentially fighting next? Because you said the battle agreement's been signed.
Yeah, no battle agreements or anything has been signed, and it's not a for sure yet. I'm not really sure if he has taken the fight yet, but I was offered a fight. So, and I said, let's make it happen. I'm ranked number 5, and I'm still wanting to work my way up to the title. So, and I'm still feeling good. Obviously, with that last loss against Gilbert Burns, I may have to have a fight before I can get somebody ranked above me again. But I'm not sure yet, man. We're seeing, and possibly December 18th. I was there a year ago. Last fight of 2020, and we'll be on the last card at 2021. That's the plan.
Well, again, I don't want to get you in any trouble, but there is another welterweight that's ranked that had his opponent seemingly fall out on December 18th. So if anyone's watching this, you can kind of put 2 and 2 together of who I think you're talking about. But again, don't want to get anyone in trouble here as far as that matchup. But sticking with welterweights, I got to get your thoughts on this Khamzat Chimaev win on the weekend, taking out Li Jingliang. Just your reaction to that and just how dominant he was, especially after the layoff and having COVID as well.
Man, it looked like the guy wasn't even sick, has been sick at all. Looks like he's been spending that time training for sure. I know for a second there, he was like thinking about retiring, came out of retirement. I'm like, man, is it really that serious? But whatever happened to him, man, he's healed up. And God, he looked great this past weekend. Khamzat smashed, dude. That's what he does. He smashed, took him down. And it was pretty crazy how he picked him up. I don't know if he was talking to Dana. People say he was talking to Dana. Picked him up, took him over there to Dana, and then slammed him right in front of him. But it was impressive for sure. Anybody in the top 10 is got to watch out for this guy because, he's like the Khabib in the welterweight division for sure.
One of the things that sort of came into the fight was the weight cut. You saw, he did sort of the towel thing, kind of taking a page out of DC's book a little bit. Do you think he cheated the scale? What did you think of that? Because that one time they weighed him and he was 166, I think.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to go from 166 back to 170? I mean, it was obviously cheating. You can see, I mean, when somebody puts their hands on the towel and you see the towel go down, move, they should make everybody weigh in with a towel with hands in the air, just like they did the second time. But, yeah, man, I think he was trying to make it work, but he went a little overboard when it was like 166. It's like, come on, dude. But he ended up making weight and going out there and smashed him. He did a very good job. Very impressed with him. I think anybody who fights that guy is going to be rough. I mean, who's next for him? I mean, who you got for him? Is it Luque? Is it Burns?
Well, I'll throw. I think we can eliminate one name from this because I don't think the UFC would give you an opponent if he had just fought. So I'm guessing Chimaev's not the name. I think you can at least mention that, right? Because like he just fought on Saturday, and
right.
now we're hearing Nate Diaz might be a name for Chimaev that they're throwing out there.
Yeah, it's not me. He just fought. I've had this fight booked for a little while. We're trying to get this fight. We'll see if it happens. Hopefully it does. Keep the fingers crossed. But yeah, it's not me. But the thing is, you got some guys in the top that don't have fights coming up, and I know he wants to turn around. He didn't break a sweat hardly out there during the fight. He wasn't injured. So I'm anxious to see where they put him. I know he's a very popular guy. He's got more followers than the champ.
Yeah, it's true. Very much so.
Yeah.
And because of that, people are now saying that even with that win, that there's a possibility of him getting a title shot. Do you agree with that? Or as someone who's been, working her way up to get a title shot, do you think that's fair? Or do you think the fact that he's been so impressive and has all this hype, that warrants a title shot?
Right now, no, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. There are some guys that he could be facing before that next step up for sure. I don't know what he's ranked now. Did he move up in rankings? I'm not
I
sure.
have to check the rankings. I think they updated today, but at the time we're doing this, I don't think he's taken that spot of Li Jingliang yet, so I'm not sure.
So we'll see. We'll see. I don't agree with him going straight for the title, but I do agree with him, moving up significantly for sure.
Do you think he's the real deal, though? That's the one thing, right? This was a ranked opponent for him. It was someone that's, in Li Jingliang, who had, a knockout win over Ponzinibbio leading into that. Some people are saying, yes, this proved that he is the real deal. Are you a believer now in Khamzat Chimaev?
I am. Obviously the guys that he's faced, he's finished everybody in the first round. So you haven't seen really his whole arsenal yet. Mm-hmm. You've seen him knock out somebody, Mearshart, but he kind of ran right into it. The punch was obvious. You haven't seen him strike with anybody, really well-rounded yet. I want to be able to see that as well. But as of right now, why change what he's doing? It's not, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So he's been taking everybody down and just smashing everybody in the first round. So why change it? So, would love to see this guy against another grappler, high-level grappler, such as Burns. You got, obviously Colby Covington, who's also a phenomenal wrestler. Would love to see that.
Okay. What about you if you fought him? We know that's not next, but style-wise, how do you look at that fight with Chimaev if you were to fight him based off what you've seen?
I think it's going to be another Burns. He's just going to try straight shoot. And I feel like that, especially a striker against somebody like that, for me to beat that guy, I'm going to have to be on par with my uppercuts, my knees, obviously my takedown defense. But it'd be a fun fight. It'd be a fun fight for sure.
A couple just more things on UFC 267. How cool was it seeing Glover Teixeira win the title at 42 years of age? How inspiring was that?
That was super inspiring. It's super inspiring, man. I'm be 39 next year, February. So I'm catching up slowly but surely. But I see somebody like that definitely gives you some inspiration. Because, at that point, 10 years ago, he shouldn't be fighting. Everybody would be telling him to leave. The sport has changed, and I like where it's going. People training smarter, being smart with their training, spending more time on their recovery. I'm not really sure how he does it, but I feel like he takes care of himself for sure. Max Holloway he didn't spar anymore.
Yeah,
he doesn't spar. True. He's done enough sparring to know what he needs to do out there. It's cardio, taking care of himself, and helps with the longevity of your people's fight careers.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And just last thing on UFC 267, did you catch the Aleksei dos Santos and Benoit Saint-Denis fight? That was the one where the referee was not stopping the fight, and then he eventually got removed from the card. This was on the prelims. Did you catch that at all?
No, I didn't catch that at all, man.
Oh, interesting.
So what happened?
So basically, they should have awarded it a TKO victory for Dos Santos. The commentators were even kind of going like, stop the fight. The guy was taking a lot of unnecessary damage, and they let the fight go on. It ended up going the distance, but it was one of those really bad examples of a referee not stepping in, so much so that Mark Goddard actually removed him from a couple assignments after that. He didn't ref the rest of the night. So wasn't sure if you saw that. Maybe be good to go back and check that out. I know you're kind of interested in that stuff. So
no, I wasn't able to see that one because I figured, something like that. I didn't see it on social media either, but I hear from what I'm seeing from the guys around me, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, no, completely agree there. We got UFC 268 on Saturday. I'm pretty sure I asked you about the fight already, but just now that you've had some more time to maybe watch the embedded stuff or whatever, Usman and Covington this Saturday. Who wins that fight? Who are you taking? I believe you said Usman. Is that still the pick?
Yes, I still have Usman. You've seen the progression Usman has made in his last few fights. It's been a while since Colby Covington's fight. I think his last fight was Tyron Woodley. Yeah. Tyron ended up having the bad rib. He was dominating the fight. But you're seeing the progression of Usman. He's got his wrestling is a high level. His cardio's there, but now you're seeing his striking improve. And how did he finish Colby last time? Right? Striking, he TKO'd him. Yeah. And from what I've seen, it's going to be Usman all night.
Okay. There you go. And we haven't talked since Leon Edwards is now fighting Jorge Masvidal. Just your thoughts on them making that fight with Leon, nice winning streak, and now he's fighting a guy coming off a loss. Do you think that was the right fight to make?
I know the guys have beef, and I think it makes sense for the UFC. I think it makes sense for Masvidal, being, I think, slightly ranked under me, and now he's getting a fight with somebody in the top 3. So it's almost like, hey, he wins this fight, he's gets another title shot. That's 3 title shots in a row, pretty much in a row. I don't think it was good for Leon, but there is some beef there. There was some back behind the scenes scrapping going on, and that's a fight that people want to see. So it makes sense for Masvidal, and maybe Leon, hopefully he's getting a little bit more paid for this fight since he's not getting the next shot. But I want to see the fight. Heck yeah, I want to see this fight.
Who wins if you're putting money on that fight? Who do you see taking it?
Oh man, I do believe Leon Edwards. I think he's out of the two, the bigger, the stronger of the two. Now, Jorge Masvidal's game, you've seen him knock out bigger guys as well. So I would not take a whole lot away from Masvidal either. But just the 9-fight winning streak, Masvidal coming off of a big KO finish. I've got Leon.
I think I asked you this last time, but you have a couple more fights left on your contract, right? Like it's not like you're getting close to the end of it.
I have one more fight.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this December 18th is December 18th the fight, like 2 fights left, or is December 18th the last fight?
December 18th is the last one.
Interesting. Okay, there you go. I was curious. So does that add a bit more? Because obviously if you win, that's going to get a nice pay bump, I would think, or at least, continue what you had before with the contract. Does that add a bit more if this does come to fruition, the December 18th fight?
At this point, I don't think it's getting to the point where, I'm afraid that the UFC is going to cut me at this point. But, it does give me incentive really to go out there and put on a show because I really want to continue to keep fighting for the UFC. And I feel like I'm still a threat for those guys in the top. So, I think before or even after this fight, we'll get something signed for sure.
Okay. And, with that said, I imagine you want to retire with the UFC, right? You don't want to go to Bellator or anything, assuming the UFC wants you back and everything goes well.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Maybe do some kickboxing afterwards. We'll see. Because,
interesting. Like Alistair Overeem, go to Glory or something like that?
Exactly. I think I still have it in me, man. I still have the competitiveness in me. And from what I'm hearing, I don't want to fight for any other organization when it comes to MMA. So the UFC is it for sure. It's where I want to, if I want to end my MMA career, it's going to be with the UFC.
There you go. Love it. Okay. So we mentioned earlier, there's a verbally agreed, nothing signed yet type fight. I think there's 2 opponents, so we won't get anyone in trouble here, but I'm curious. I'll just throw a name out at you. If you were to fight Belal Muhammad style wise, how do you look at that fight?
I think it's a great fight. I really do. I mean, coming off that last loss with Gilbert Burns, I know he's taken probably 1 or 2 notes out of his book. So my takedown defense has got to be really, really good. He looked sharp this last fight with Damian Maia. That was a fun fight for me. I love to see how he would defend those takedowns, especially somebody as strong. And he was on point, man. So I know he's a very well-rounded MMA fighter. He can strike. He can wrestle. I love this fight. I really do. I love it. I would love that fight for sure.
Okay. And then the other name, obviously, I think if we're playing process of elimination here, Neil Magny, style-wise. I know this is a fight that's been kind of rumored for a while. If that ends up taking place December 18th, how do you look at that fight from a style perspective?
Kind of another grappler as well. He's a lot longer, a lot lankier. He's a little bit more difficult to get on the inside. But obviously, and I think with people that have seen his few fights before, his legs are definitely an important target. Right? Easy target to get to because he's so long. He's a strong welterweight. He's a big welterweight. I love this fight too. I really do love that fight. I believe I could outstrike both of them. Keep the fight standing.
There you go. I think I'm liking my chances on one of those coming to fruition, but we'll see. Before we get out of here, though, we haven't talked since that whole Paulo Costa and Marvin Vettori fight. We're just midweek. Paulo Costa's like, yeah, we're going to fight at 205, right? It's all good. What did you make of that? And would you have handled the situation the same way Marvin Vettori did?
Well, knowing that I have kind of handled that situation before, fighting Darren Till. He didn't make weight. He was like 5 pounds overweight or whatever. I was there, did it for the fans, man. We had a good time. But when you coming in saying, all right, can we do 185 and then 205? It's like, what the heck? But I think Vettori was so mad at that point. He just wanted to go out there and beat him up. When you talk so much trash like Costa does, and then you come in, not making weight, not being the professional you should be, it's like, come on, man, go somewhere else with that crap. Yeah. So, yeah, man, it very disappointing for sure, and shows who out of the two is the most professional out of the bunch. So, and that's Vettori. Costa, I wanted to slap him.
Do you think Jason Herzog taking that point away was just kind of like a sympathy thing to Costa when that happened in the fight? Do you remember that?
I do. I don't know, man. It might have been, but Costa, man, he gets what he deserves. He should have gone out there and, is he continuing to fight at 205? Is he going to go
I
back down
think
to
the UFC
185?
is saying, hey, you got to fight at 205 going forward because this whole thing was a disaster. I mean, it almost jeopardized the main event, right? Which is a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Huge deal. I mean, you saw the difference between 205 and when he's at 185. It's a big difference. He's a big 185er. He's huge. I remember we were in the back. It was UFC 205. I was fighting T Wood and he was fighting Johnny Hendricks. And I'm like, this guy, I didn't even know who the guy was. But Johnny seemed so confident, riding in the bus with him. And then I saw this kid, Costa, hitting Mitts in the back. I'm like, he's going to kill him. He's a big 185er. He should be moving up to 205.
yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, a couple more rapid fire questions. Hasbulla, what do you think of this guy? He's everywhere. He's front seat at the UFC, and he seems to be like, I don't know, he's become this like really popular guy in the community. What do you think of him?
I think he's cool. I love his attitude. I think I saw a video of him and Cormier. Cormier was doing a FaceTime video, and his ball ended up punching Cormier in the face.
Yeah.
Cormier said, "What's up, man?" You see his little fist go, just punch Cormier. He's hilarious, dude. How old is the guy?
I think he's 18. It's like he has some sort of genetic thing, which is why he looks like younger. So
I think he's cool because like every Russian fighter there was like had to say something to him after the fight. Khamzat did. Khabib 2.0. I think Khabib talked to him. Cormier did. I'm glad to see him there because I see him all over social media. Very cool guy.
Any update on Chris Weidman? I know you guys are close. He's obviously still recovering from the injuries. When was the last time? I know he lives there. So what was sort of the update with him from what you're hearing?
I haven't talked to the guy. The guy's been so busy, to be honest with you. He was up in New York with some guys there that were having fights, part of Law MMA. So he wanted to go up and show his support. Saw him there. He's wrestling. He's back in the gym. He's training. He's looking good. Not sure or heard any word of when he wants to come back yet. But the guy, he's 100%.
Good. That's awesome. And my last question, kind of a different one. We have a mutual friend, Carl Reed. Carl is really high on Kennedy Monday, who just signed with Paradigm. He's, the latest wrestler to come over to MMA. I can't remember. Did you get a chance to work with him or do you know about him? Because there's a lot of hype behind his move to MMA.
I've heard. I haven't got any training with him yet, but I've heard the guy is a monster. And, Carl Reed coming up, him being a wrestler on his wrestling background and the work we did at Limestone, he's wrestling coach there, one of the wrestling coaches there. He's kind of in that circle. So it kind of makes sense for him to pick this guy because this guy is a beast. You teach him a little striking, he's going to be a force to reckon with. I mean, you got a lot of guys coming over from that, D1 wrestling. You got Bo Nichols, he's fighting. Got one coming up. We got another guy from Penn State, Gino, who is I think he's a 145 or 155er. But a high-level wrestler as well. You're getting those guys coming over. They're coming over on the scene, and man, it might be that I don't know. You find when you see styles coming up in MMA, you start in like the Russians, for instance. Right now, their wrestling is a force to be reckoned with, right? But you always find like the U.S. guys kind of equalize it because now you're starting to get those wrestlers, those high-level wrestlers coming in as well. And I remember in the early UFC, it was the same way. You had the Matt Hughes, you had the Randy Couture's, those wrestlers. And then you're starting to see these jiu-jitsu guys kind of neutralize it and kind of vice versa. But you're starting to see more of the Americans from the wrestling side come over to MMA. And I think it's exciting to see.
This is always an exciting interview, Steven. Thanks so much for the time, man. I know I'm keeping you away from your coffee right now. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, and where they can get those cool shirts like the one you're wearing right there, I'll give you the last word.
Heck yeah, man. First, I would like to thank you for having me on the show, my guys. You got on Instagram, Twitter, it's Wonderboy MMA. On Facebook, it's Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. This is my man, Sweet Tea. We have some What's Up Everybody shirts as well. You can get those at pitchblackfightsports.com. Go check it out. And thanks for having me.